Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are well. Hope you guys are keeping safe. I hope everything's good. So guys, Terence Bud Crawford. Terence Bud Crawford is a boxer who divides opinion amongst the boxing fans. Terence Bud Crawford is somebody on my channel who is loved, who is liked, and who is criticized. And you guys probably see that on the live streams. By the way, sorry about no live stream today, or yesterday, sorry. The live stream will be on Friday at 8 o'clock, the next one, and then I'll do one on Saturday as well. I'm going to try doing 3 live streams, as I promised you, from this week onwards, at least. So we're going to do one on Friday now, and then hopefully either Saturday or Sunday, but definitely the next live stream will be Friday. So Terence Crawford is somebody that divides a lot of opinion. On my channel, on my live streams, people say, oh, he's fought nobody. He's not a Hall of Famer. He's not that great. He's not this, that, and he's not this, that, and the other. You know, we have Ahmed in the live stream who loves Terence Crawford, who sings his praises, says great things about Terence Crawford. We have my friend Christian who says, nah, you know, Terence Crawford, he's not fighting anybody. He's not a Hall of Famer. Stephen hit the nail on the head in the sense that, you know, Terence Crawford, you know, he's not a big star. His resume is not great. But as Stephen would say, he's a killer. He is. But unfortunately, Terence Crawford is 33 years of age. Terence Crawford needs somebody to fight. It's becoming horrible for a boxing fan like me who knows how good Terence Crawford is. Terence Crawford's an exceptional talent. His career is sliding away, it's slipping away. And he's not getting any younger. You know, one thing they say about life is that you only get older, you don't get younger. As the time's ticking away, you're only getting older, not younger. Terence Crawford's in his prime. His prime years are ticking by. He needs to make a move. He seems very content with where he's at. He seems very content with, you know, him doing what he's doing, fighting the guys that they put in front of him. But in terms of the legacy fights, he needs some names on there. Now, Crawford's in a difficult spot because there isn't a lot of guys he can fight. I think there's guys out there like Thurman that people will say is a great fight. My friend Stephen says that, you know, I'll give Terence Crawford a lot of credit if he fights Thurman and beats him. The problem is you might give him credit, Stephen, but a lot of the boxing fans won't, because they'll say Thurman was washed up, Thurman was past his best. However, it's still a big improvement from who he's been fighting of late. A Keith Thurman fight is one that Terence Crawford needs to push for. He needs to push for that fight. Keith Thurman, right, they're talking about him fighting Ugas. Why don't Terence Crawford make a case and say, Keith, I'm here, I want to fight, I've got a belt. Now, Keith Thurman may look at Terence Crawford and think, you know, I'd rather fight Ugas and win the fight against Ugas. But I don't even know if I'm looking at it from Keith's point, right, he's probably thinking I'll beat Ugas and then I'll be a champion. But I don't know whether Keith beats Ugas. That's a tough fight for Keith Thurman right now. So the Crawford fight is a bigger fight. Crawford isn't a big welterweight. And maybe Thurman fancies his chance. Thurman said he hasn't fought a true welterweight. You're a true welterweight. And he's a champion. Fight Terence Crawford. I think the fight would sell. I think it would do not great numbers, but it'd do decent numbers. Thurman's just got to be reasonable. I don't know what this situation is with Crawford contractually with Top Rank. But that's definitely a fight I would like to see, and one that I've been calling for years now. You know, I think Thurman and Crawford is stylistically a very good matchup. Crawford needs the fight. He needs the fight with Thurman to enhance his profile, to enhance his credibility as a fighter. Because right now, a lot of people don't give Crawford the credit. And many boxing fans seem to think that Keith Thurman beats Terence Crawford. You'd be surprised at how many people on forums I've seen think that Thurman beats Crawford. They think Thurman punches too hard and he'll knock Crawford out. I don't think that, but many people believe that. So it's actually quite an interesting fight. What I hope doesn't happen, if Crawford beats him, then people say, well, Thurman was washed up, like they do with everyone that he fights. And someone pointed this out on the live stream yesterday, that if Crawford fights somebody that's a monster like Spence, for example, and gets completely washed, that his legacy might be tarnished. His legacy might be completely, because people will say he fought nobody, and when he fought somebody, he got exposed. That's why there's so much pressure. As soon as he steps up against somebody that people think, okay, this is a proper threat. And here's the thing. People were saying before the Khan fight that he's a threat. Before the Brook fight, he's a threat. Before Gamboa. But people forget about all of that. I get it that Brook and Khan weren't at their best, but Gamboa, what excuses about that? Postal, what excuses there about that? They were guys that were seen as dangerous opponents, and he beat them. Was Crawford the favourite going in against Ricky Burns? I don't think he was. I think most people in the UK expected Burns to beat him. He didn't. They didn't. He didn't. Crawford won that fight. This is what I'm saying. I think Crawford is very disrespected. He's a great fighter. A lot better than what a lot of you think. This guy's got some serious skills. And I think if he was to fight at Thurman, you're going to see the best of Terence Crawford. You're going to see the mean, but you're going to see the best version of Terence Crawford. You're going to see a killer in Terence Crawford. I want to see Terence Crawford v Keith Thurman. I want to see that fight. I want to see that fight. We all want to see Terence Crawford in there with the best fighters in the world. Because we all rate him. But we need to see him in there with stiff competition. I feel like Terence Crawford's very disrespected. I don't think he even gets the credit, you know, at all. At all. And I think if Terence Crawford was to fight somebody, I think people will realize how good, fight somebody where, like a Thurman, I think people will say, wow, this guy's great. Most people will become believers, because I think Terence Crawford will show you and separate himself from his competition, which he's been doing. I believe Terence Crawford can separate himself from Keith Thurman. I believe he can beat Keith Thurman comfortably. Crawford has that kind of skill set. Crawford has a lot of tools in his toolbox. He has a lot of tools in his toolbox. He's a very gifted fighter. He's very dedicated, but he's also mentally very strong. He's a winner. Like, I've seen Terence Crawford play ping pong and like get upset about he wants to win. I've seen Terence Crawford play basketball, like have arguments with like, I'm better than you at basketball. That's a winner, right? And get into it with Andre Ward, get into it with David. Like, he's a winner. You can see it in his eyes. He's not doing that for the cameras. He's a winner. He's a winner. He wants to win. And people like that are very ambitious, very dangerous. It's just that he's probably frustrated with the politics of boxing, not getting the fights that, you know, he wants. and not getting the fights that the fans want him to be involved in. But that might bring out the best when he eventually does get those fights, because they will come. They will come. Terence Crawford will get a big fight in his career. That's no doubt about it. We just got to hope it doesn't come when he's 37 years of age. We got to hope it comes in the next 1 to 1.5 years to see the best, because I wouldn't want what happened to Gennady Golovkin happen to Terence Crawford. I feel like when Golovkin got his big fights, I felt like Golovkin was on the slide. And that's what we don't want to happen to Terence Crawford, where he gets his big fights, but he's on the slide. We don't want that. We want to see the best version of Terence Crawford take on a Danny Garcia, take on a Keith Thurman. And what I will say is, all those people that are saying Keith Thurman knocks out Terence Crawford, if that fight was to happen, then you've got to keep that same energy. Don't then say, oh, well, Keith was washed up and this, that, the other. Keep that same energy if Crawford fights and beats him. Give him his credit. Let me tell you something. Because from the start of, Crawford as a top fighter, it's always been like, oh, well, he's fought nobody. When he fights somebody that people think's a threat, beats them, oh, they're washed up, or they're no good. Or, the fact of the matter is that he's beating his competition and separating himself. For example, Josh Taylor fought Prostol. He had a very tough fight with him. Crawford fought him years prior and beat the absolute, out of him. So this is what I'm saying. Crawford's beating guys up. He's beating guys up. He's separating himself from his competition. See, for me, you become an elite fighter in two ways. You either dismantle your competition, right? Look at Andrade, for example. Why don't I put Andrade on the same level as Crawford? Because, firstly, Crawford's resume is better than Andrade's. He's fought better guys. But not just that, Andrade's kind of struggled against even lesser competition that he's faced. Like Williams, he didn't look too good. Cotton Dokwa, he did all right, but he hasn't looked great. Like, Crawford's looked great. Like, I'm talking, he's knocking guys out. He's looking spectacular. He's looking phenomenal, Crawford. So Crawford's separating himself. He's looking impressive. And that tells me this guy's special. He's not having tough fights. Like, Andrade had a tough fight with Liam Williams. And, Crawford's not having fights like that. And let's be honest, Crawford's fighting better guys than Liam Williams around his weight class. Jeff Horn was a former world champion. Khan Brook, I know they were past it, but still former world champions. Kavilauskas, he ain't no slouch. He's fighting Virgil Ortiz now. He ain't no slouch. This is a guy that knocked out, I'm pretty sure, didn't he stop David Avanesian? This ain't no slouch. And Crawford, yeah, got wobbled by Kavilauskas, but then got up in the same round and stopped him. So Crawford, he's a special fighter, and he needs someone like Thurman, like a Garcia, to show his greatness, to show, how great he is. Maybe he's just so frustrated with the politics of boxing, but he needs to get a move on, and hopefully these fights can happen. Like, the Taylor fight's good, and I think he'll get credit for that if he was to fight Taylor and beat him. It's still not a fight that I would prefer. I would prefer to see, like, him against Thurman. I think he'll get more credibility by beating someone like a Thurman. If he can beat Thurman. That's just a great fight. But yeah, a lot of the people that believe that Thurman beats Crawford, they're looking at Thurman. They think he punches hard. He's a good boxer. He's a good all-round boxer. Crawford's a little bit chinny. If Thurman lands a big punch, Crawford, but I think Crawford's a lot better than that. This is why Crawford needs to prove against someone like Thurman, and people will realize how good that Terence Crawford actually is. But that's my take on Crawford. Let's see if he gets those big fights. Hopefully he does. For the sake of boxing, let's hope he does. But leave your thoughts, guys. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.